Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's see. What do these tea leaves have to say? Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I hope everybody is doing well. Sorry, I'm a little quiet here. I'm just kind of taking in all of these symbols. Just kind of giving them a look over. Okay, so I have the very distinct feeling that there is some kind of spiraling happening here. It's beginning, okay? I see a person that is, it looks like they have their foot going into it. So I feel like almost a sense of succumbing to some kind of spiraling into distorted thinking, kind of inconsistent emotions, transient emotions, maybe a distorted sense of reality. It seems because it is so large and it is right in the middle, this is a big kind of very, it kind of overshadows everything, becomes the central focal point in your life right now. Now, I don't think that this is you, okay? I do think, however, it is somebody probably, because I see this tiny little house right here, I think that it's somebody in your household or somebody who is part of your close family unit. They might not live in your house, but they're of your house, right? And so maybe a spouse, a significant other, a child, a parent, somebody that's very central to your life, okay? And their well-being really affects you, okay? Mind, body, soul. It really becomes everything. I get the impression that this is not the first time. I feel like this is something that they're familiar with, and I feel like this is something that you are also familiar with, okay? Now I'm seeing these kinds of clouds, okay? And a stream of water, of rain, and I see a small little person, okay? It looks like they're laying on their back, reaching up. And I really feel that this is very much has to do with like emotional state, like mental health, maybe depression, some kind of mood disorder, maybe addiction. Something is going on that is destabilizing this loved one, okay? I feel for you, and I see a person here. It looks very much like a side profile of maybe like a goddess figure, god figure. So I feel like this is you in your highest thinking, probably as maybe a parent or, you know, the beloved child, in functioning in one of the positions in your life that you feel very confident, you identify confidently with. So as a parent, as a child, as, you know, brother, sister, as a partner, spouse, something like this. Okay, something that's like a solid position. Okay, and I see you witnessing this rain happening. I feel that when these storms arise, kind of come up on the horizon and then suddenly come in, there seems to be like a sense of powerlessness that overcomes you as you're watching this, because you cannot fix this problem with sure will. There's nothing, you know, that you can do straight away to stop this from happening. This is something that is out of your control. This is something you have to watch somebody you love kind of go into. They're slipping into it. I almost feel like the imagery of like sand slipping through your fingers. Okay. I feel like, you know, and I'm seeing this kind of dragon here and then another dragon here too. There's a lot of, you know, very protective nature. You want to be there. You want to take over. You want to give the care, get them stabilized, you know, get it all figured out and fixed as quickly as you can. Unfortunately, it just doesn't always work that way. And sometimes when things get really bad, they get really, really bad. And it can take time to get back to a more stable place. But I feel like you're really driven to do the work to get there, because when they are more stable, it's almost like night and day. Like you almost forget how bad it can be. Like it's a bad dream. I think that, you know, when things feel easier and more consistent, and you have a desire to want to trust it. Like this could be the time that, like, it's, you know, but you know that it's not necessarily the last time that you're going to have to go through this whole ordeal that happens. And maybe for the rest of your life, this is going to be kind of these cycles. I don't know for sure, and I don't know that you know for sure either. But I know that there's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of, you know, anger, powerlessness, a loss of control that happens. I think that, you know, as I said, it becomes kind of the central focus of your life. And just from personal experience, coming from a family that has a lot of mental health issues, addiction, you know, just generally risky behavior and dysfunctional stuff that happens. Like most families have these things, right? I know my family is not unique by any means. But I do have experience with these things, both being the person that's going through the spiraling and being somebody who's a support person as well. I've been on both sides, or just witnessing it, okay, as like as a younger person that had really no ability to do anything. But You know, I know that it can not only feel so devastating, destructive, just like a hurricane or a tornado hits the center of the family. But it can also create dynamics that are really hard for everybody to kind of navigate. When you're the person caretaking, you're putting a lot of your time investing, you know, all this time, effort, focus, trying to navigate the ups and downs, being very careful and mindful, and and spending a lot of time probably finding resources and help to help support your decision making, and maybe even medical stuff and whatever. It takes away from your relationships with your other people, maybe your other children, your family members, friends. It can definitely spill over into the attention that you need to put on your work. And so I think that, it's just such an extreme amount of stress and chaos that can occur. And, it could be very alienating for you, isolating. You're feeling guilty on so many different sides of it. And also, just I think about, as I'm even talking about this, I think about, having a young child and they cry, and that you meet their needs and love them and hold them, and they get better. They're not crying anymore, and they're, back to being a little child or a baby or whatever. And everything's kind of been smoothed over, everything's fine. But, you kind of have that instinct, no matter how old somebody is, right? And you just want to help them, make them content, get them to a place of some peace. And when you're unable to do that, or figure out like the right configuration of things to make that happen, it is maddening. It's hard. It's disheartening. It's devastating, as I said. And so I feel for you greatly. It can be very lonely feeling. Even if you do have other people in your family who are helping you, or, you're working with professionals, So I think it's important, I will mention that I think it's very important to find a support system that's not necessarily within your family, maybe like a support group or a forum online of some kind, for people who are dealing with whatever your circumstances. And, finding kind of like a unrelated third party kind of person or group of people. Therapy, group therapy. If it's like addiction stuff, there are a lot of different kinds of groups that help family members. And, there are a lot of different resources, and I know that can feel like, oh, just another thing to put on your plate. But for your own well-being, excuse me, for your own well-being, and so that you are being supported, heard, seen, validated, I think it's important to find these kinds of places to go. And or, you know, to interact with, even if it's just on your phone, on the internet, on your phone or whatever, in the privacy of your own home, anonymously. The input could be really invaluable. The support could be invaluable for you. Okay, let me keep looking here. Okay, so I'm seeing, there's more of this feeling of, there's kind of this monster, it looks like right here. Let me get this up closer. This kind of, the big mouth and the teeth. I see this being right here with a sword. Constant struggle of back and forth trying to slay that beast. Okay. And then here, which is interesting, I see this, it looks like a mouse or like a rat, kind of, some kind of rodent, okay? And it's funny because, it's not funny, but I didn't notice it before, but as I was talking about you going to some kind of support group or a therapist, I had this instinct to kind of veer off and talk about the guilt of feeling like you are telling on somebody that you love, or kind of sharing somebody else's private experience. Like, you shouldn't, this is family business. We don't talk about this with other people, or it's not my place to be kind of sharing their news or whatever, their struggles, okay? And it's kind of on the nose a little bit, but the sense of being kind of like a snitch or a rat or whatever, but that totally, of course you have to go about it in a safe and tactful way. I'm not a big person about going online, publicly sharing personal stuff, like super personal details. I never, just not. I don't, openly, publicly, okay, like on Facebook, where people know your name, they're, and you're putting detail. I think we should temper that a little bit. That's understandable. But when it comes to seeing somebody who, especially if they're like a therapist or a counselor and they're, licensed, and the legality of their kind of, they can't repeat what you say. They can't, they're not passing judgment. They're kind of a conduit for, just kind of figuring out, straightening thoughts out, emotions out, and getting you to the techniques and the modalities that will be helpful for you, okay? So I think that's a completely different thing. And, I think that mindset is definitely sticks with a lot of people. Like, we don't talk about, I even find myself, and I've been in therapy for many years, there are certain things that I find very difficult to talk about because I feel like I am betraying people that I care about and love. But I also know that that is kind of the trauma of the situation. It's like protecting itself from being processed. And so it's like it has its own mind to some degree. And it's stopping me from speaking the words that I need to release, that I can't carry with me anymore. I can't, because it will destroy me. Okay. So I think it's so important to allow yourself to find the support that you need while you are supporting somebody else. That you have to be as well as you can to help somebody else find their wellness, right? And I think there's so much love here. And, you know, you put your whole self into helping and being there, you know, picking up your phone at all hours of the night, day, night, showing up, you know, and I think that, you know, I think to some degree, you know, it's hard for you to understand how it gets to this point. It always is when these kinds of things happen, even if we know rationally, if it's a disease or, you know, a chemical imbalance or disordered thinking, whatever it is, it's still hard. It's hard to negotiate in your mind, like, how does this happen? And, you know, I think it's easy to kind of go over all of the things from the past. Where did I, you know, maybe I should have noticed more signs, or maybe if I would have done this, things would have been different, or if we did, you know, if we changed this as a family, or, you know, whatever it is. It's easy to get really wrapped up in those old things and to lament, you know, deeply, things that are out of your control. And I want to bring this up with this card, which is the Wheel or Fortune in the Thoth deck, okay? And a lot of people would say this has to do with like luck or dharma or, you know, something like this. For in this context, for me, this is really so much about the unknowable nature of the universe, okay? Trying to find some kind of meaning in the spectrum, in the variety of cards we are kind of dealt, right, in our life. Trying to find meaning in those hardship cards, trying to find meaning in where we do receive fortune, okay, where we are lucky, where we are privileged, okay, but we all have a variety of things that we're dealt, okay, and a majority of it is so out of our control it's hard to even fathom, right? And so I think that, you know, in this case, instead of focusing on the negative of the chaos that we live in, right? Trying to, with all of your might, and I know it's hard and it's, you're going through a lot. So it's like, kind of almost seems ridiculous to even think about trying to figure, you know, trying to find some positive here. But looking at that chaos, the chaotic nature of the universe, of the cosmos, and finding some freedom in the fact that none of this is permanent, right? This too shall pass. Trying to find some way to accept, maybe not the big picture, okay, but to accept the little things that you can along the way that are hard, okay? So, and also what comes to mind is this thought that acceptance is not approval. Okay, so if you are accepting your circumstances, that doesn't mean that you are approving of them. But to survive in a way that is at all going to, you know, find some kind of ease, we have to kind of accept where we're at and what we're dealing with. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful, you know, if we've asked for it or not, whatever it is, okay? Also, I think something that we can always really work on is trying to find a way to return to our centeredness, to get back to some kind of balance in our most quiet spaces, allowing yourself the time even if it's for 5 minutes a day, to just close your eyes, breathe, you know, try to let go of some of that tension that you have. Try not to think about all of the next things you have to do in the next hours and tomorrow and the day after that. Just letting that stuff go for a minute, being in the moment, noticing how you feel, noticing how the room feels, noticing all the little sounds, and then letting that stuff also kind of dissolve away so you can just have a moment of quiet for yourself. Okay? And also just, and this is the, I know all these things I'm trying to tell you, but also trying to think of yourself as something like, I'm thinking, and this is a really silly example, but the thought is to be able to roll with the cycles that are happening. Okay, let them roll through you as much as you can. And I'm thinking of like, if you've ever been to like a water park back in the day, I don't know if they still have these, but when I was young, 1,000 years ago, they had the wave pools where a whole bunch of people in the hottest days on this concrete slab in a pool, there would be this wave machine, and everybody would be out there with their little floaty things and with their friends and whatever, and the big wave would come through and you'd just kind of jump up and roll over it, right? And so I think of this as kind of, you know, a little bit of a meditation on trying to roll over those waves so you don't get pulled under, right? That current, that momentum doesn't pull you right under, and then you're really struggling to get up and breathe and so on. So just trying to get through these cycles the best you can, rolling with them, knowing that they will pass, and you know, the work that you're doing is very meaningful. You are loved, you are heard, you are seen, and you're important, you know. So yeah, I think that's the reading. Oh, let me look. I didn't look at this yet. So I see kind of a bit of a little volcano here, okay? It doesn't look like it's exploding or anything, but I feel, you know, it's tied into this anxiety of things really blowing up. I don't see that happening necessarily here, but I feel the ramping up. But I also feel that there, you know, is this underway, this kind of, I feel that there will be some ease and calmness coming soon, okay? So hopefully everybody will be well, and I know that you might have to make some hard decisions coming up here, but you know, I really think that you're a person within the situation that will advocate and will make those tough choices. And so it's really crucial for you to really take care of yourself, and to kind of try to stay grounded through this, because you might be the one that really has to be a little more firm, okay? And not get swept away with, you know, the big emotions that are happening, and, you know, maybe arguments and and things. So, so these eruptions don't really, you know, take place and overflow and such. So, okay, so that's the reading, and that was a heavy one, and you know, I apologize for that. I always hope that they'll be a little more lighthearted, but you know, the thing about life is you never know, you know. From week to week, we just don't know exactly what it's going to be like. So I thank you. I'm so honored, and always so honored to be here and to be able to bring these messages to you. I really appreciate all the time that you spend with me, and you know, I hope it's not offensive to anybody, but you know, I keep you in my thoughts. I know these kinds of situations can be very difficult, so you are in my thoughts and close to my heart, and we'll be back in a week from now with the next Pisces reading. If you maybe want to watch some other videos, other readings of your other placements, or cross-watching, go ahead and do that. Definitely take the parts that speak to you, that are helpful, that will help you navigate what's going on with you and the people around you, and you know, lots of love and light. I'm sending it to each and every one of you, and I look forward to talking to you again. Hopefully we'll have a little more of a light-hearted reading ahead. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.